Hey guys, how you doing? These two Galaxy Watch 9 models are only 4mm apart on paper. On the wrist, however, that can decide whether the watch looks well balanced or almost disappears, and whether you can comfortably read a message or need to scroll more often. I compared both sizes side by side, checked their unusual band attachment, and opened identical content at the same font size. The 44mm model has roughly 20% more display area, but depending on the screen, it either shows noticeably more or exactly the same amount. So which size looks and works better on my 19cm or roughly 7.5 inch wrist? So let's find out. We can keep the general feature comparison short. Both sizes use the same Snapdragon Wear Elite processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, and the same sensors. Sapphire crystal glass, 5 ATM and IP68 protection, Bluetooth 6.0, optional LTE and dual frequency GPS are identical as well. The 44mm model is therefore neither faster nor more feature-rich. Graphite is available in both sizes, while cream is exclusive to the 40mm model and silver to the 44mm model. My light 40mm watch looks slightly larger because of its cream-colored band, while the graphite case and band of the 44mm model visually blend into each other. Here in Germany, Samsung officially charges 409 and 439 for the Bluetooth versions, so the larger model costs only 30 euros more. The 40mm version officially measures 42.7 by 40.4 millimeters, while the 44mm model measures 46 by 43.7 millimeters. The actual difference is therefore 3.3 millimeters in both directions. Both cases are of 8.6mm thick, so the larger watch does not sit any higher. It simply covers more surface area. Without the band, they weigh 31.5 and 34 grams. Now, I cannot feel those additional 2.5 grams, but I can feel the larger case. A traditional lug-to-lug measurement is not particularly useful here because there are no protruding lugs. The bands connect directly to the case and immediately curve downward. The more useful measurements is the case length of 42.7 versus 46 millimeters. The band attachment barely adds to the effective length, which is why neither watch overhangs my wrist. Both sizes use Samsung's direct band attachment and the 14-gram sports band. Both of my review units have the medium to large band, cream with the silver buckle on the 40mm model and graphite with the black buckle on the 44mm version. I cannot find any size-related differences between the bands. Their length, number of holes, material, and thickness appear identical, and both are approximately 20mm wide. I use the fourth tightest hole on both watches. This leaves a similar amount of access band, and the overall fit is practically the same. The noticeable difference therefore comes from the case and not the band. My wrist measures 19 centimeters or roughly 7.5 inches. The 40mm model sits in the center and does not overhang at all. However, considerably more of my wrist remains visible on either side, which makes the watch look smaller and more understated. The 44mm version fills the top of my wrist better without extending beyond the edges. It has more presence, but it does not look oversized on a 19cm wrist. I prefer the 44mm model because it looks more balanced. I cannot feel its additional weight, although I do notice the larger footprint. It is slightly more noticeable while sleeping, but it never bothered me. During workouts, the larger display is actually an advantage because the data is easier to read while moving. The smaller watch is therefore not automatically a woman's model, and the larger one is not exclusively for men. Wrist shape and personal preference matter just as much as the size. Now that we know how both sizes fit, let's see whether the larger screen actually gives you more useful information. Now here's the most surprising result. Roughly 20% more display area does not automatically mean 20% more information. The display measures 1.34 inches with 438 by 438 pixels and 1.47 inches with 480 by 480 pixels. Both reach approximately 327 pixels per inch and look equally sharp. However, the 44mm model has roughly 20% more pixels and visible screen area. I set both watches to the same default font size. In my WhatsApp notification, the 44mm model shows roughly one additional line and several more words. The full message also wraps later on the wider screen, allowing you to read further before scrolling. In menus, labels such as adaptive brightness and advanced features fit on one line on the 44mm watch, but need two lines on the 40mm model. In the Play Store, I can see almost the entire third app entry on the larger screen, while it is only partially visible on the smaller one. The difference in Google Maps is less noticeable, with the 44mm model showing only a little bit more of the surrounding area. The tiles behave completely differently. The health, fitness and basic tiles use the same layout, show the same number of controls and display practically the same section on both sizes. Here, the 44mm model simply makes the existing content larger. The number of complications on an identical watch face also remains the same, so the 44mm model generally shows more in messages, lists and text-heavy apps. With tiles and mini graphic screens, you mainly get the larger presentation rather than more information. I still find both advantages useful. Text, workout data and buttons are easier to see, and some apps require less scrolling. The 40mm model has a 390 mAh battery, while the 44mm version has 445 mAh. That is an increase of 55 mAh or roughly 14%. Even so, Samsung gives both sizes the same maximum figures, up to 40 hours without the always on display and up to 30 hours with it enabled. Now these are some laboratory estimates, not my own real world results. I will test both watches under identical conditions for my full review. For this size comparison, battery capacity is therefore only a minor advantage. Wrist size alone never tells you the full story, because a flatter wrist provides more usable surface than a rounder wrist of the same size. As a general guideline, I would choose the more compact 40mm model below roughly 17 cm or 6.7 inches. From around 17 cm upward, I would generally recommend the 44mm version, provided its 46mm case length fits across the top of your wrist, but both can work right around that threshold. On my 19cm wrist, however, I clearly prefer the 44mm one. It looks better proportioned, is easier to read and remains comfortable enough even when sleeping. The 40mm model is better suited to narrower wrists and people who prefer an understated watch. The 44mm version is the better choice if you want a more prominent look and the easiest possible view of messages and workout data. Both sizes are wearable on my 19cm wrist, but the 44mm model is clearly the better and more practical fit for me. As a simple guideline, I would choose the 44mm from roughly 17 cm upward and lean toward 40mm below that. Let me know your wrist size and which version you would choose in the comments. If this comparison helped you, leave a like and subscribe for my full Galaxy Watch 9 review, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Peace!